I wanted to respectfully address with you a concern that I have with this budget in the larger sense, in how we can move forward through this budget process to get to a solution that works for Pennsylvania. And I want to refer back to a few prior exchanges that we had during this hearing. In a prior exchange, you offered kind of a rhetorical question in response to some of the concerns raised over the proposal to shift the $204 million out of the Horse Race Development Fund, and you said, well, how do we make these choices, say, between equine and dairy, for example? The concern that I have is that this same budget proposal that also gives heartburn to the equine folks also eliminates some line items that are very important to dairy. For example, agricultural research that would be proposed to be zeroed out compared to last year's $2.1 million. Livestock and consumer health protection proposed to be zeroed out instead of the $1 million from last year. Open dairy show proposed to be eliminated from their prior funding level of $215,000. So here's my question is, what would be the impact on the Department of Agriculture and all of the industry served if we were to take the budget that the governor submitted and adopt it exactly as is, which includes elimination of ag research, ag promotion, education and exports, hardwoods research and promotion, livestock and consumer health protection, animal health and diagnostic commission, livestock show, open dairy show, food marketing and research. These are all proposed to be zero in the governor's budget. If we were to adopt that, what would be the impact of this proposal as drafted?
Yeah. Well, I think you've touched on, you're not going to get the research. You're not going to have dairy shows unless you find some alternative ways to fund it, which we have discussions at the farm show. And it's important to note, for the All-American Dairy Show in Kyle that we provide, in excess of $500,000 of financial support. It's not in the line item for those particular shows, but you would have to make some adjustments. Right? I think, but I would hope that the other things that we have asked for an increase would also be honored in this.
And I appreciate it, Mr. Secretary. And I think that where we need to go from here, obviously, these budget hearings are the beginning of the next few months where we engage and figure out what is the solution that needs to happen. And so what I'm hearing is that we're going to need to add those line items back, and that's fine. That's what we do, as you mentioned, a time-honored tradition of the budget process. But the concern that I have is that what the governor proposed to us was a budget that increased spending by $2 billion over last year. And we're going to have to come up with some ideas about how we can justify that to the taxpayers. But that increase of $2 billion doesn't even fund the basic things that we need in the Department of Ag to keep the services going that people have come to depend on. So I truly respect you. I truly respect everybody in your department that works so hard. And I look forward to engaging over the next few months on how we can make the tweaks and adjustments necessary so we get from a budget that's kind of an aspirational document that kind of misses a few things to something that actually will work for the people of Pennsylvania. So I'll leave it at that and ask for any comment you might be willing to add.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think your observation that those things are important. They're there for a reason, right? There's been sort of this exchange over the years, and right or wrong, I mean, we go back and forth on taking things in, putting them out, but they're there for a reason and trying to be supportive of agriculture and speak to the different needs that have surfaced here today. I think there are a lot of things inside the budget work that we do that are related to what happens in the federal side as well, and I just sort of thought a lot anticipating your question about hardwoods, right, and just looked at what happened over the last year or so with the tariffs and how difficult that's been for the industry there. And we're dealing with one now with changes in our food and nutrition programs with the USDA. We fought hard as an administration and many secretaries of agriculture across the country to keep the commodity programs coupled with our nutrition programs and believe that you cannot have a charitable food system without a food system that's charitable. Keeping them connected was important, one of our principles, and now we find that there's potential to lose $237 million in food nutrition through the SNAP program as a result of those decisions. So those kind of things are all inside of this budget discussion of how do we do this? I mean, how do we make sure that when you entrust us with dollars for the state food purchase program or PASS program, it's sufficient in light of what else happens in federal programs. So I appreciate your insight. Thank you.
And thank you. And just with a few seconds left, I'll mention that I know that we've engaged all across the General Assembly in passing the Farm Bill and the Farm Bill package last year, and it's been a great good news story that we've been touting across the state. And I think that we need to make sure that we make the adjustments needed to this budget to make sure that we don't lose the progress that was made there.